Yeah.
Hey, good day to you. You could be watching it anytime. It could be morning, could be night. I don't know. All right, so now we have morphed into the Club Movie Club Mondays. And now we're back to Star Wars, right? And we're up to episode 8, The Last Jedi. I'm Frank Gaffney. Amy Goldman has a new cat.
And a new mug.
Mug. Oh, that's great. You
Thank
are
you to Michael E. Parnos of the Michigan Parnoses.
You are a repeat offender. Sure.
Oh my God.
And Joel Fenster, of course, our resident geek, and Annie King, who's back in her den. But Mark Wotitz Gartner had to take his dog to the emergency, so he's not with us, but hopefully Luna's okay. All right, so Joel, this whole episode idea, which we've never discussed, comes from the Flash Gordon thing, right? George Lucas made a buttload of money off of his childhood. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
The whole sense of, this episodic soap opera is a Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon. But the cliffhanger thing was kind of more Indiana Jones, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, the 1930 serials, each episode ended with a cliffhanger.
Right. Right. Which not quite in these movies, I don't think. We don't get
No. I mean, sure, there's Empire Strikes Back has that, is hand going to stay frozen kind of thing. But there really isn't that Flash Gordon fell into a pit with a gorilla kind of cliffhanger.
And how does he get out of that?
Yeah.
Come back next week.
Right. And if he feeds it a banana and gets out of the pit.
Yeah. I think it's not quite so blatant, but obviously we have things going from hanging over from movie to movie as we did here. The big one for me here going into this one was, and I know I'm being ridiculous, but is Han Solo really dead? I was hoping he wasn't. I was hoping that a ship caught him at the bottom and they brought him back, but no.
No, he is really most sincerely dead.
Really dead. Okay, so episode 8, Disney trusts Rian Johnson to write and direct this chapter. He was 4 when the first movie came out, and he had done some smaller films. Looper, I never heard of it, but that was one of his more critically acclaimed movies. And he directed 3 episodes of Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. So that qualified him to do this.
His first feature, Brick, is actually a really good movie.
Okay, so there you go. So he has 2 pluses in his column. Whether or not The Last Jedi is a plus in his column will be determined today. I think he gets it for the most part. I think he definitely seemed like he's a fan, and he wants to give us what we want to see. His Ewoks are puffin like porgs things. I read somewhere, or maybe I saw it somewhere, that they were actually, the animals were on the island that they filmed, and so they just kind of morphed them into these things because they were always in the shot or something.
Well, it was because I just happened to read the trivia on that, and they really were puffins, and I don't remember what the word was, not endangered or something, but they couldn't remove them. The government wouldn't let them touch them, so they just had to cover them over as porgs.
Right.
And I did think, these enough already. We get it. They're adorable. They're no pig chicken. But once I read why they were there, I said, okay, you can have them.
Yeah, it was fine. And I love the opening when General Hux is making his declarations, and Poe is like, what? Ooh,
yeah.
Can't hear you. Still
holding.
We love that kind of humor. It was just, that was great. And then, and even though some people didn't particularly like it, that moment of reverence when she hands Luke his lightsaber and then he just tosses it over the shoulder cracked me up. But some people thought a little over the top, but I thought it was funny. And so then of course Leia had the version of the Apple Watch that they had long ago and far away. That was nice to see. And then And I did love the way the ships came out of hyperspeed, like they just sort of, they were there, they were there. But I always worry they're gonna crash into something, but I guess they have things to figure that out. But here's the thing that was annoying in this movie. Like all of a sudden, we're in movie 8, and the problem in this movie was fuel. Everything was, we don't have fuel to go to jump to light speed. We don't have enough fuel to get. Since when do these ships run on fuel?
And it was just
I think they
nonstop.
ran on.
We're at a critical point. Well, now we're at the super critical point. Now we've got like 3 jobs left. I mean, run out of fuel already. I'm on the LAE. I'm going to run out of fuel.
Stop at a gas station.
What did you think the ships ran on, Frank?
I have no idea, but it was never an issue before.
Well, because
Lithium crystals. I don't know. It just seemed like fuel was the big bad guy in this movie. And you know, some of the ridiculousness of that explosion where only Poe and BB-8 survived that big explosion. And that's some clever writing right there. And then weirdly, the explosion kills Princess Leia, blows her out into space.
Oh, wow.
And now she has another power, which we've never seen before. But what the heck is this power? She can't get killed now? So she comes back, and then she's on the slab, and they're wondering if she's gonna survive. I mean, maybe she only has enough fuel for one resurrection. She can't really do that.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a resurrection. She got sucked out into space and then used, I'm pulling this out of my ass. Use the force to kind of, you know, keep herself from imploding, exploding, whatever, you know.
And from breathing?
Right. Well, to keep herself breathing, not from breathing, but and then Mary Poppins herself into the airlock. So
It was very Mary Poppins.
yeah.
It was kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy when they're all out in space.
Disney's just on a big Mary Poppins kick. I'm not sure where they get that from.
But at least Ryan realizes, even though he spells his name with an I instead of a Y, is that like a British thing? That Carrie Fisher is not the best actress. So let's retire her for a little bit and bring in an actual actress, Laura Dern. And her costume is like this, you know, this African thing. I'm like, right. It's like the Black Panther costume lady came in to do some preliminary sketches, and they were like, let's use it.
And she must have weighed 75 pounds, and the bone going across here, I thought, if I went like this, I could reach it. If she went like that, she'd still be like a foot away from that bone. There's something weird going on here.
Right? They extended her neck.
Look weird. Ugh.
It did look weird. And then General Huck says, what is the point of all this when we can't even blow up 3 cruisers? I'm like, yeah, I know, I feel the same way. Let's get on with it. And Luke is on the planet Hachu.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. You know, and he, you know, obviously he feels he failed us, he failed the whole whatever that, but you know, it's quite the dick move to not want to fix what he messed up. It's his fault. Then come on and, you know, but eventually, of course, he agrees. And we meet Rose. Rose is an escape pod guard. This is a thing? Shouldn't there be like codes or, you know, something? You couldn't just go and take a pod. You'd have to know the access code or have a card or put your eyeball, something.
I don't think she's an escape pod guard. She just happened to be down there. I think she's.
I thought she was trying. She was stopping people from taking the pods and
She
leaving.
was doing her job, which I think was just some sort of technician job in that area, and people kept trying to escape, so she kept reporting them.
Every time I go down there, people are trying to escape.
Right? Exactly. Teacher, you didn't give us homework this week. All right. And then I wish Mark was here. Hopefully he'll watch this, because Ray says, I was cleaning my blaster and it went off. A line Mark can use anytime Danielle catches him. Like, I was cleaning my blaster and it went off. So, okay, so Snoke gets smoked, but who is he? Who was he? How was he in charge now? Do I remember this? Do we know? We don't know.
Not
He's
yet.
just, that's it. He's already in charge.
Yep.
All right. But the fight with the red soldiers was great. And this is the reason why I really loved it, because it wasn't all close-ups and you couldn't see what was going on. It was like well choreographed. It was far enough away that you really could see them jumping, turning, whatever. And it didn't look fake like Palpatine flipping himself.
Yeah.
It was really great and it was a lot of fun. And but of course each villain had to wait its turn, like it's supposed to do in these movies. Not all gang up on the good guy. Then Luke shows up and Poe says, "Oh, he's stalling to give us time to exit." Would have been nice if he told them that,
how do you come up with that? Come on.
then they would have known. And why couldn't Luke just like blow a hole in the back so they could get out?
Well, he was
Something.
using all of his force energy just to appear on the
Yeah, he
planet.
wasn't there.
to begin with.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too, because
Okay.
now this is another new power where you can just appear in another space, but not look hologrammy like all of George Lucas's holograms, where you kind of blue and you can't really see, but he looked like a real person standing there. I think, again, another power. You just keep pulling these out their asses. And then we get the last scene, which I have no idea, where the kids are playing with their version of the Mattel Jedi figures.
That Kenner. Mattel never made
Oh,
action.
Kenner, sorry,
So-
Kenner. And they know all about the story we just watched. What? What is that about? Why is that, Joel? Did I miss something?
No, it was going back to the kids that were, in the horse stables or whatever the animals are, and
Right.
visiting up with them and kind of, implying something that we're never going to get back to. So
So we don't get back to it in the next movie. I
No.
thought maybe I forgot about it.
But
I mean,
everybody
I
knows
like the kind of thing where I love seeing Anthony walk by. I love the kind of thing where, the story is being passed on. I like that kind of generational thing, and that's great. But yeah, it could have used a better part. Anyway, there's lots of cameos.
Don't you just assume that they're told the story just like Ray said? Oh, I thought he was a myth or a legend or something.
Right.
Aren't they all
Right.
just told the story? That's
Yeah,
what I
that's
just.
what I think.
I don't know where they get their news.
I think, that's part of the problem, is that the scene comes at the very end of this film, and it's the same kids that you saw 32 hours ago in their timeline. So
Right.
how quickly does news of
Yeah, I
the,
didn't know if it was like 10 years in the future or something.
it didn't
I
seem
think
like
I
it. It
recognized
was-
the kid. He didn't look that much older than he did at the beginning.
exactly. It was the same
So,
kid.
It was a little weird.
Mark Hamill's kids.
Are they?
Oh, Mark Hamill's kids, not Luke Skywalker.
Not Luke Skywalker.
But it again would be, are they setting us up for, episode 10?
Well, there won't be an episode 10, but I don't know if there was a point where Johnson was going to be doing his own separate trilogy. So maybe the kids will appear in that. I have no idea. I don't know if he's still doing that even. So.
Right. Well, I did read also today that he wrote an outline or something for the next movie, and Kathleen Kennedy was like, no. And that's why J.J. Abrams came back.
Well, not exactly. There was a different director that was originally hired to write and direct the Part 9, Colin Trevorrow, and he wrote a script and was all prepped, and then Kathleen Kennedy was like, no. So Johnson didn't have much to do with it. It was really supposed to originally be 3 separate directors and writers kind of picking up the baton from each other and advancing the story along the lines, so that Kathleen Kennedy was kind of like overseeing it in that Kevin Feige kind of role.
Right.
But Trevorrow's script is on the internet. It's easy to find if you look for it. And we can talk about that next week.
Sorry, Kathleen, you are no Kevin Feige. All right.
She is not.
No. Lots of cameos. Frank Oz returns as Yoda, but why? I don't know why he came now of all times. It's my same complaint as with the Avengers. Why didn't he show up before? Whatever. And we have a new Chewbacca and a new R2D2 since Kenny Baker died and Peter Mayhew was too old to do it. And I read Prince William and Prince Harry are stormtroopers. Where? Do you know where?
I do not.
No. Okay, overall, I enjoyed it. I give it 3 stars. It's not a train wreck. There's lots of things to complain about. And if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, those geeks do not like this movie. But I thought it was fun. I liked it. All right, who wants to go next? Amy, you don't have much to say.
No, I really don't. I watched it late last night. I was very tired. So I figured I would just jump in as people said things. I do remember thinking there's no way Lawrence Kasdan was part of this script, because I could see it completely drop from the previous script and directing, which I loved. I thought there was back to some of the corny shit. I did like it, though. I liked it more than I thought I would. I expected to really not like it, especially based on what Mark said last week. And then when I looked at IMDb, it had like a 6.5 or something. So I would give it 2 3/4 stars after last week's 3.5, which I loved. I didn't hate this at all. There were definitely moments I liked, but I can't really think of things off the top of my head. As I'm watching it, I think I got to remember this because I really liked or really hated this, and I don't write things down.
What does that tell you?
I should write things down.
Okay. Annie, you want to go next?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I found myself engaged the entire time. I didn't feel like it was slow or anything. So I'm giving it 3.5 stars. It was a lot of fun. I thought the storyline moved, there was great funny parts and the action sequences were pretty good. And I really enjoyed watching it.
You just reminded me that I thought 2.5 hours, it was definitely too long. And I did find parts where I was like, all right, let's move it on already. Or here we got another action sequence. I thought we just fixed it, and then here it comes again. Something new.
And there were little side trips. I'm like, okay, we could have done without that.
Yeah.
And did we really need Laura Dern?
Both of them. And the sidekick girl, Rose, she was just another stereotypical wisecracking female who knows everything and can rattle off all the stuff like that, just like what's her nuts in the Thor movies. What's her nuts? The
Darcy.
Girls. Yeah. Same exact kind of character. Yeah.
Joel, I think Amy's reducing her rating in a second.
Yeah, I was like, she said I liked it, but I'm giving it, 2 and whatever stars, which is down like a
complain about everything.
I'm just picking nits, Frank. I did like it. I didn't love it.
I liked it, but no stars. It's
I didn't love it. Yeah, that's the thing. I did not love it. I mean, this is only my second time seeing it.
Oh, my
not
first.
obsessive like some nerds.
This is only my 3rd or 4th time seeing it as a full movie
Since 2017.
Yeah, there's other
so
things.
It's like once a year you watch this movie.
Yeah, sure. There we go. Once a year. This is my favorite film of the original trilogy is The Empire Strikes Back. It's the middle part of the trilogy. It's the darker part of the trilogy because they get their asses handed to them, and how are they going to overcome this? And I think this film falls into that category as well. If The Force Awakens was the remake of A New Hope, essentially this is kind of sort of a remake of The Empire Strikes Back, except it's got a little bit of bloat to it. And the first time I saw it, I really felt the whole storyline of Rose and Finn going off to the casino and getting the code breaker and then coming back and sneaking on. It was a whole lot of, why is this even here? This is a mission that they completely fail and it serves no purpose. But the more I've seen the movie, the more it doesn't bother me as much because its purpose really is to give Finn and Rose their moments. To really let us know who give more character development to Finn, as well as give us more introduction to Rose as well. And where is that going to go? And I found that more interesting the more I've seen the film.
Well, I think also you're being affected by having seen episode 9. So that kind of added to what happens here.
Yes, it does. without giving away anything of how I feel about episode 9, you know, in a week in advance, which I also have not seen more than once. So it'll be my second time watching when we get to it. I like the movie. I'm torn between giving it 3.5 stars, like Annie did, and like we did last week with The Force Awakens, and lowering that a little bit. It never feels slow to me or unbalanced, but it does feel like there's some bloat involved, and that kind of does annoy me a little bit.
No, that's exactly right. I shouldn't say I felt there were parts boring. Bloated is exactly right. I was never like, oh, this is boring, I gotta fast forward.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Usually when you have something that's slow or overly long in that sense, you can kind of figure out, you know, what things that they could have cut out that would have not affected the storyline. And originally, as I would have said, that you could have cut that whole casino scene out and it wouldn't have changed the story, but I think it would have, the more I think about it. So, you know, I don't know where to cut the bloat is the problem. You know, I think, you know, Laura Dern, for whatever purpose she serves, could have been better served by a different character that we had an attachment to. You know, Admiral Akbar from Return of the Jedi is in this film, and he's basically killed off screen when the, you know, at the same time Princess Leia is sucked out the window. Why could he not have been around, taken over, and been the one to sacrifice himself? That would have been more meaningful.
Because the actor isn't as well known as Laura Dern.
I don't care. Why does Laura Dern have to be in the movie? She can go back to Jurassic Park.
She's a good actor.
She is a good actor, but that doesn't necessarily serve the purpose of the story.
Just like the Marvel movies, they were trying to get classy actors to be in their movie. And
I also understand that, you know, from a story perspective, she feeds better into Poe's storyline, because he's wrong throughout the entire film up until the end when he says, oh, he's trying to give us he's creating a diversion so we can escape. He's wrong about everything up till that point, and which I really love, Joel. I thought, okay, good. I like that he's not the hero necessarily. No, I love that too, and that's the other thing I really like about this movie is it really does deconstruct a lot of what we're going to expect from some of these characters,
right?
And it's really, you know, it's like, all right, so The Force Awakens gives us this, you know, we were essentially remaking a New Hope to an extent, and we're giving you all that nostalgia. Now we're going to take that nostalgia and we're going to turn it upside down and not give you what you want. And I like that because it turns things in a different direction. And it would have been interesting to see how that would have continued under somebody else, as well as if Carrie Fisher had not unfortunately passed away. I really feel like they were making that third one would have been her story. Yes. Since 1 was Han and 2 was Luke, so then 3 would have been her story. The only other thing I need to mention, because if I don't, my wife.
Hey, is it in that other script, or was she dead already?
I'm not going to tell you until we get to next week, but yeah, she's in that other script.
Oh, okay, great.
I will mention one other thing before I wrap up my blathering. I guess if I don't mention it, my wife will kill me because nobody else mentioned it, that Carrie Fisher's daughter is in the film.
Oh yeah, sure.
In the last film.
Billy Lord, yeah.
Yeah, she's, for anybody who doesn't know, she's the resistance fighter that is kind of helping Poe with his, you know, send Finn and Rose off on their missions.
I thought it was going to turn out that they had another daughter and it was going to be her.
Oh.
That's what I thought. They were going to set us up for, you know, she's really her mother.
Well, in the book series that was published before we even got to the sequel series, there were books where Han and Leia had twins, and it was a boy and a girl. So
that's what I was going. Then she was the girl.
But they're not using it.
All right, Joel. So are you sitting with 3.5, even though Force Awakens was better than this movie?
I'm gonna drop down.
Not trying to influence you at all.
You're wrong if it is.
Not trying to influence you.
This is not the Siskel and Ebert episode where Ebert convinced Siskel to change his mind and give a movie a thumbs down instead of the thumbs up he gave it.
What movie was that?
I don't remember. I want to say it was an action film like Die Hard or something like that. I'd have to go back and really research it, but it was just funny watching Ebert badger him into into going,
And
fine.
look
I'll
it
do
up.
I'm
now."
gonna have to
Look it
look
up.
that up.
Right
Yeah.
now.
And we'll look it up
Let's
right
find
now.
out. Leave people
Hi,
hanging.
Artu. I'm going to give it 3.25.
2.5. I approve.
It's definitely a 3-star plus film. So
There's R2 now.
Aw,
I have so many of those figures. I should take a picture of my
yeah.
collection and show it.
I have to do
So
the same thing, and I don't want to, do that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, this definitely was my series. This was my childhood. Okay, so so next week we're on
Don't you want to read? Don't you want to read Mark's comments?
Oh,
Nice.
okay,
Yeah.
sure.
That's
Let's
why he
see.
sends them.
I thought he was just telling us. Okay. So he disliked Jedi. Oh, he said disliked Jedi on my first viewing, mostly due to Luke's portrayal and the overly dramatic way he enunciated every word. Not quite Captain Kirk, but I
No.
could see that. I watched
Yeah.
it for the 4th time now, right there with you, Joel, and enjoyed it better. Moved the story along, introduced Rose Tico, and further developed the relationship between Rey, Poe, and Finn. We watched the movie, Mark. We know. Also, really moved forward the connection between Rey and Ren, which I think was some of the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah,
the two
definitely.
of them and their mind meld,
Yeah.
whatever we're calling it. And poor Hux was everybody's whipping boy. Yeah, I liked him a lot. I don't know. Have we seen him in other stuff?
Hux, Dominic. What is his name?
Yeah, Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know him.
Well, I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's anyway.
What did he give it? How many stars?
Oh, 3 stars from Mark. He's agreeing with me. So he's the only one that makes any sense of the 3 of you. So, okay, did you find it? Cisco and Ebert? No.
Very hard to find.
All right. So next week we are up to the end of our what are they calling it? The Skywalker saga.
Yep.
With episode 9, which is I don't know what.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. I'm gonna say Return of the Skywalker. I don't know. Rise of Skywalker. Again, I've only seen it one time. The one time that I went to the movie theater to watch it. I do have a Blu-ray of it, but I never opened it. So there.
Oh, wow.
But it's only been 2 years. Unlike Joel, I don't revisit movies every year.
I do
don't
want to go
necessarily-
back to one thing that Mark said. I do agree with him and Mark Hamill's acting. It was so over the top. And it was so cliched.
Well,
You know,
I think
The
part
grizzled.
of that may actually have been his attitude towards things. He's on record as saying he didn't agree with this
Story.
approach to
Yeah,
the story.
yeah.
His
for
arc,
Luke.
as it were.
Yeah.
He said
Oh.
it to Ryan, what's his nuts, like the day he read the script, he's like, I completely disagree with everything in this script, but I'll do
Right.
whatever you want me to do as an actor.
Right. And he did. So, it works.
Yeah,
for
but
what
when
it
you
is.
go into it being that cranky, I don't like this.
Yeah, that's
Kind
gonna
of show. It kind of shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, are we done? All right.
Are we ever done?
So next week, right? I said that. And just a reminder, What If is still running on Disney Plus. Everybody
Oh
watching
God, I
it?
gotta catch up.
You got to
I think
catch
I've
up.
seen
So
3.
behind.
I think episode
Oh,
7
sure.
is this Wednesday, right?
No, nope. Season
Could be.
finale is this Wednesday, episode 9.
Oh.
All right.
And
And-
just so you're aware, it looks like episodes 8 and 9 connect. So
There you go,
I thought
Frank.
episode 5 connected. So I had no idea.
Nope.
This was the thing. Well, I guess we'll discuss it when we get there. Okay, and so we're gonna get to that in 3 weeks, I think, because we're gonna watch, right? We're gonna watch Rogue One and Solo before we get to What If.
I think that's what you had on the schedule.
I think so. Okay, that's it. I'm Frank Gaffney.
Okay,
May the force be with you.
and also with you.
But not with